Bubbles always collapse because the underlying fundamental reason for a bubble collapsing is simply because it's based on overconfidence and an asset price rising. And in the case of real estate, underlying credit inflation to us fellow long waivers, that has been the price of credit falling for the past 40 years, which caused the credit inflation. Now, if you look in the past, it happened in Japan in the 90s. If you look at 1929, during the 20s, that was a monetary wave. Before 1873, that was on the down wave or the monetary wave, right? These monetary waves create these crises. Now, there's a thesis and a belief, and let's dispel this once and for all, that they can be prevented. I have a history of every asset bubble that ever existed. And here is a list. I've got the resources from Charts R Us, Nick Sherfin, who was on the Long Wave Forum, Manias, Panics, and Crashes, The Edge of Chaos, Devil Take the Hindmost, and Real Estate Crash, right? These are just historical asset bubbles. And you can see, now this is at the top, dramatic collapses, 90, 100%. All these are normal. South Sea bubble, the Poseidon stock bubble, the internet revolution, Greece 2007, the tulip bubble, 80%. We can see enormous amount of losses. I didn't include a lot, and there's a lot still to put up here. The apartment boom, when the baby boomers were actually coming onto the market and they were driving up demand, but that still caused an apartment boom and collapse. And if you look at other areas, and at the bottom there, I put Canadian real estate. Yeah, so we have to get past this notion that it can't happen, it won't happen, they won't let it happen, they'll do this. There's not one instant in history, not one in history that they prevented a collapse. And if we overlay Canada and Japan, if we take a look at this chart here, we can see that Japan erased all of its monetary gains. And the developed world were still leveraging. This downturn in 2024, the whole world leveraged from 0% interest rates. How do you stop that once the public starts to panic? Now, it's interesting, really quickly, if you look at 2014, I didn't mark it here, but that's when Japan's population started to actually fall, but prices started to resume upward because there's affordability now in Japan. So it's always affordability and asset bubbles. Now, we look at, where I live in Toronto, and we can see, where has the historical price to income. And it was about 2 to 3 in the 1950s and 1960s. It was only, the reason for that was there was only one household really was on the mortgage title. And that changed in the 70s when women entered the workforce. So we could easily, double that at about 4. But you can see that about 3 to 4, 5 at the top end has been the historical norm. We went to 6.7 here in Toronto in 89, and that was a 25% correction. And look at the blow off last year, 17 times income. I haven't updated this chart, but it's still historically obscene in terms of how real estate prices are. The point I'm trying to make is one that's very simple. There's not one point in history that we have not seen the bubble collapse from a level. And yes, as the article that I spoke to yesterday, it was 30 to 50% minimum, probably greater in GTA and Southern Vancouver, where the epicenter of this asset bubble is. I want to be wrong here because we understand, those of us who've studied history, what are the implications to the economy. But if society leverages up and the speculation was there, what can we do? One last important point. I'm going to allude to a point on the website underneath, and I'll put a couple of posts I put on my Substack account at Canada's bubble economy. You can see all the categories. Do we have overvaluation? Definitely. Speculative behavior? Undoubtedly. Excessive risk taking? Of course. Everybody thought interest rates would stay low and asset prices would go up. Herd mentality? Well, if you live in Toronto, who doesn't invest in real estate? Unsustainable growth? Of course, because the economy is not generating enough economic growth. That's what will cause it to collapse. Any small rise in interest rates is already technically defaulted 30% of mortgagees. What does that tell you? The problem and fragility, this is the last thing. Again, I'll put the link on the YouTube channel, is that it's made our economy very fragile. As this starts to unwind, we're going to have a dramatic impact to the economy. So there you have it. That's the reality. That's facts. And I get people all the time giving me reasons. They'll do this and they'll do that. And show me a point in history where a bubble did not burst. And not only did it burst, it overshot to the downside. Just one example. We look at the most recent ones we saw last year with the Bitcoin, renewable energy, and ARK investments. These are revolutionary technologies, yet they succumb to 50 to 80% collapse. So if I dare suggest that for real estate, for some reason, that is uncalled for. It's absolutely ridiculous, but the most important thing, it's dangerous. It's a dangerous thesis to articulate to the public who are levered to this asset bubble that's unsustainable. That's my beef. Unfortunately, I know who will be right about this, and unfortunately, the outcome will be very severe. Because the pushback is, well, do you realize what the impact will be? Of course I do. That's why the bears have warned about this for so long. This is extremely dangerous because we have social programs that are dependent on the economy growing. And if you look at history in 1873, and in Japan, there's deflationary forces that are set in motion now. And that means that whoever is into power in the next cycle will be making grim choices to cut government spending because the governments will be insolvent. And that comes about from other things, and I won't get into this. Anyways, let me know what you think underneath. I'm getting a lot of questions, and the YouTube is growing quickly for the size that it was. It's already doubled in 15 days. But I thought about taking all these questions and answer them once a week, and I'll do that probably on Fridays, maybe upload it at the end of the day of the week, and have a listen to that, right? And general information. Usually if you're asking me a question, people are thinking about the same question. Okay, so thanks so far. Everybody's liking this format. And if there's any suggestions, I'm open to it. I'm very flexible. I'm trying to educate the public what I've discovered. And I realize I have to red pill you slowly and do this methodically and simply. I not want to talk over you to impress you of my knowledge. That's not why I'm doing this. I'm trying to simplify this with charts, articulate here in the video, and in a nice presentation format so you can understand this. And what's great about video, you can rewind it, go back, look at a chart. I don't have to worry about my articulation speed. Thanks for listening, and thanks for the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and pass it on to your friends, of course, who would be interested. Thanks again.